Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is RC Blakes, and I want to welcome you again to another powerful Let's Talk session on this Monday night. Please invite some others to come in and to be a part of our time of dialogue. Well, I guess it's more of a monologue, really. I guess if you're in the chat, it could be a dialogue. But invite some others to come in to be a part of our conversation tonight. This is going to be a good one. I'm talking tonight about empathy burnout versus self-prioritization. Last week, from the session we had last week, I created an Instagram reel that talked about how a woman in particularly, not exclusively, but in particularly, how a woman has to learn to stop trying to manage everybody else's energy, everybody else's issues, and just simply learn how to self-prioritize. And it's kind of seemed to create such a somewhat sort of a stir on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me at RCBLAKES on Instagram. I think women struggle with self-prioritization, and that's some of what we're going to discuss tonight. Now, you know I love stories, but I want to start tonight's session with reading a little story for you. And it goes like this. She was the one everyone called first. When a friend needed a ride to the airport at 5 a.m., she said yes. When her mother was anxious, she spent an hour on the phone, absorbing every worry. At work, she stayed late to finish the slides no one else would touch. Her partner leaned on her for emotional stability, and she never once said, "I don't have it in me today." One morning, she woke up and couldn't cry. Her father had just been diagnosed with a serious illness, and she felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. No sadness, no fear, just a flat gray exhaustion. She went through the motions, made coffee, replied to text, showed up to a meeting, but inside she was gone. She had spent so many years pouring herself into everyone else's needs that there was nothing left for her own. She hadn't burned out, she had hollowed out. I want you to invite some others to come into this discussion, this conversation tonight. I believe it's going to be good. Now, this is not an uncommon story. It is the quiet tragedy of women, listen to this, who were taught that their value lies only in giving, and that self-protection, self-prioritization is selfish. In a world where everybody is taking from the woman, she is simultaneously trained that self-preservation, self-prioritization is selfish. Now, the obvious question is, why does this happen? Psychologically, women tend to overperform, not because of an innate need to earn worth, watch this, but because of deep social conditioning. I call it broken consciousness. I call it female slave conditioning. It's where the larger society trains the woman to believe that her worth is tied up in what she brings to the table, how much of herself she can selflessly give without receiving anything in return. Now, from a young age, many girls learn that being good means being helpful, being agreeable, and attuned to other people's emotions. This creates somewhat of a toxic empathy in many women. And over time, this becomes a reflexive strategy for gaining acceptance and avoiding the punishment of being labeled difficult, problematic, cold, selfish, masculine. In relationships and even in organizations where women often hold less structural power or face implicit bias on many cases or many instances, overperformance becomes a compensatory tool, proving competence while maintaining harmony. She overperforms to impress people who are really only there to use her, to deplete her, and to extract from her. She's serving a world that comes with a handful of checks to be cashed and no deposit slips. Now, this is not a flaw in the woman. It is a learned adaptation to a world that rewards, listen to this, that rewards your giving and penalizes your boundaries. I paused right there because I need you to think about what I just said. You're in a world that rewards your giving, but penalizes your boundaries. Now, if you look in Proverbs chapter 31, speaking of that virtuous woman who we reference quite a lot on this platform, verses 10 through 31, and I'm kind of just jumping through so as not to read all of it. I'll just pull the points out, but it reads like this in gist. An excellent wife, virtuous woman, in other words, who can find. She is far more precious than jewels. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She's giving. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. Look what Galatians chapter 1, verse 10 says. For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. So there has to be a balance. A woman, queen conscious woman, has to find and strike the balance between the fact that queens do serve, but queens also prioritize. They prioritize God, they prioritize themselves, because if you don't prioritize God and yourself, watch this, you will have nothing, eventually, you will have nothing to give to the people who actually deserve you. And let me say this, if you don't get a handle on this thing where you're operating from this place of toxic empathy and you're just overperforming and you're giving everything to everybody that asks and you never self-prioritize, you know what's going to ultimately happen? You will give all of yourself to the people who deserve you the least. and have none of you to give to the people who deserve you the most. If you don't pause, and if you don't self-prioritize, and if you don't develop boundaries and develop a sacred no, you will give all of yourself to the people who deserve you the least, if at all, and have none of you to give to the people who deserve you the most. Because the people who deserve you the most are not coming to take. They're usually coming to deposit. The people who deserve you to the least are those who are coming with all of these demands and a spirit of ingratitude on the side. Now, why is self-care so difficult for women? Self-care feels, to many women, self-care feels like it feels transgressive, like a sin, not restful for many women. It does not feel restful. It feels like it's a sin against nature for you to prioritize you and to, dare to put you first and to make certain that you care for yourself and that you're loving yourself and that you're caring for you. The reason is not laziness or poor time management. It is internalized guilt. You have been made to believe and to feel guilty for prioritizing you. When you have been taught that your primary value is in serving others, taking time for yourself triggers an almost moral alarm. It's like, oh, this is a sin, something wrong. I shouldn't be taking time for me. I should be wearing myself out for everybody else, the people on the job, the people at the church, the people in the family, my in-laws, my friends. I should be wearing myself out for everybody else. You're being selfish. That's the thing that goes off in your head. It's this moral alarm. You're being selfish. You're taking time to go and get a massage? You're being selfish. Someone else needs you. You're being selfish. What right do you have to rest? You're being selfish. Now, how do I know about this? I live with a wife that has come through a lot of trauma. And initially in our marriage, she was overdoing it on overperforming. And eventually I grew up and I recognized and I realized that my wife was literally killing herself for her family, for me and those children. She was literally killing herself for me and those children. And one day, I had a real serious conversation with her about her love for her family. And I said to her, if you really love us, you got to forget about us for a minute and you got to take care of you. Because if you're like the engine that makes this family work, we would be very foolish to allow you to wear yourself out dealing with issues that we could handle on our own. Come on now. We need you to take care of you so that you can take care of us. If you can't take care of you, if you don't take care of you, and if you don't let us help you, and if you don't let us take care of you, you won't be around here to take care of us. And I think every woman has to come to that realization, and hopefully you find a man that really loves you enough to not let you kill yourself trying to serve him and those children. Well, let me see. Now, this guilt is reinforced daily that, society conditions the woman's brain to believe she should feel for, self-prioritization. The woman who leaves work on time to go to the gym is asked if she's feeling okay. You mean, Demi, you leaving on time? Yeah, I'm out. The clock is up. I'm not staying longer. No, no, thank you. I got to go to the gym. I got to go get my massage. You okay? The mother who takes a weekend alone is praised as, oh, you're brave, or side-eyed as neglectful. Why can't there be some place in the middle? Why she got to be brave to take time to herself? Or why she got to be neglectful? Why can't she just be a human being that needs a break? After all, last time I checked, children are supposed to have like two parents, a father and a mother, right? And grandparents and cousins and siblings. Why can't a woman? I remember there was a time before our lives got all so consumed in what we presently do that Lisa would annually take a week or so to herself. She would go off by herself without me, without the kids, because I started realizing that I was, as much as she's always loved me, I started realizing that I was a load, that she had to manage in terms of trying to make sure I had something to eat and, just trying to keep up with me and all of that. And so there was a point that, I said, well, hey, take some time to yourself and I'll figure it out with the kids. A woman should not be viewed as, oh, you brave to do that, or you're neglectful to do that. That's normal. Everybody needs space to breathe. And there are some of you ladies that are watching me now who can't even fathom what I'm saying to you. You feel like you're breaking the 11th commandment to say, I need time for myself. Now, over years, what happens is, over years of this kind of conditioning and internal dialogue, the nervous system learns that peace is dangerous and exhaustion is normal. Self-care becomes not just difficult, but emotionally unsafe. Audre Lorde wrote, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. For many women, self-care must be reframed as exactly that, a necessary act of survival and not a luxury. Look what the Bible says in Mark chapter 6 and verse 31. And he said to them, come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while. For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. So Jesus even prioritized self-prioritization, self-preservation, and rest. So why is it so hard for you as a Christian woman, as a spiritual woman, as a believer? Why is it so hard for you to put together in your mind that it's not a sin for you to rest? Your nervous system has been fractured. And we call this in queenology what? Broken consciousness. You're struggling with broken consciousness. Now, let's see. Let's talk about why self-priority matters and the real cost of empathy burnout. When you've just taken other folks' stuff in so much, what's the real cost of that? Where is that ultimately going to lead you? I'm trying to find something here. Where is that going to lead you to ultimately? Self-prioritization is not indulgence. It is, again, preservation. When you consistently place others, their needs, their wants above your own, you do not become a better person. Let me read that again. When you consistently place others, their needs and wants above your own, you do not become a better person. Watch this. You become a depleted person. Your empathy, which was once your gift, now begins to rot from overuse. And that's where some of you are now. You're trying to figure out this strange feeling you have, this resentment you're starting to develop for certain people that are close to you. You've allowed yourself to overperform, and there's been too much overperformance on the behalf of others and not enough self-prioritization on behalf of you. You've not been an advocate for yourself. You've lobbied for everybody else but yourself. So what empathy burnout does over time is, in the early years, you feel proud of how much you can hold. Oh, I can do it. I remember Lisa doing it. Oh, I got my family. I do this at the church. I take care of my husband. I take care of my babies. I drive everybody around. I clean the house. I do this. At one point she was working. I do all of these things. But slowly you stop feeling your own needs. You stop even feeling your own hunger. You stop feeling your own fatigue, sadness. These things become distant signals that you ignore. You're dying to yourself. You're running behind everybody else while you're losing yourself. Your empathy becomes mechanical. You say the right things, but inside there is flatness. You feel irritable after comforting someone, then guilty for the irritation. Now that thing is turning into resentment because you were never designed to live like this. You've not prioritized you. And it's so much worse if you're surrounded by takers who do not prioritize you and do not wake up and realize that you're doing too much and we got to help you or stop you. You got to stop. You got to slow down. If you're surrounded by takers that just take everything you give, man, I would hate to see where this could end up. You feel irritable after comforting someone you love. And then you feel guilty for the irritation. And watch this. While you go through these massive swings from one pole to another, the person or the people that you're extending yourself for, they don't even recognize that anything's going on with you. That's how disconnected they are from you. If you don't learn, and please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I am never saying that a woman should not serve or a man should not serve or people should not serve. Our purpose on this earth is to serve one another. But I am saying you should never serve people before you first supplied yourself sufficiently, because if you don't, you're pouring from an empty cup. You should never allow people to just drain you, and you sitting there on the sideline applauding. Because in some sick way, you find a sense of value and worth in being over-needed, overworked, and overperforming. Now, after years or decades, talking about what this toxic empathy, what empathy burnout does to you, after years or decades, the burnout crystallizes into cynicism disguised as realism. You begin to see requests for help as manipulations. Now, anytime anybody asks you for help, now they're trying to manipulate me. Sometimes people sincerely and genuinely need your help, but now you've been so damaged by just constant giving, and not prioritizing you. Now, every time somebody needs you, you view it as manipulation. This is where we get the response when it comes down to women that want to be married. All I got to do is bring up, are you willing to help a man? I'm not helping no man. You know where that comes from? That comes from the fact that you gave too much of yourself to the wrong man or men, and now you don't have any of yourself to give to the right one. Your body develops, this is where it goes, your body develops chronic tension, insomnia, can't sleep, digestive issues, saying no because your mouth couldn't. Your body's saying no because your mouth couldn't. People you once supported now experience you as distant or sharp. And the cruelest part, you become less effective at caring for others, even those who deserve it. You gave too much of yourself without caring for yourself in the past to people who didn't deserve it, and now you've lost touch with how to care for people who do deserve it and actually need you. Now let's see something here. Now your relationships suffer not because you stopped caring, but because you exhausted the machinery of caring. You've worn the gears out. You've worn the gears out. You've grinded it down to powder. Self-prioritization matters because it is the only thing that prevents this slow hollowing of your soul. And without it, your empathy doesn't save anyone. It just destroys you. If you don't get a handle on this, and if you don't prioritize yourself, if you don't get out of this mindset that I got to go like the Energizer Bunny, it's not going to save anyone. It's just going to destroy you. Dr. Harriet Lerner once noted, anger is a signal and one worth listening to. When you start feeling all of that resentment and all of that anger and all of that angst, and you got to listen to that. You know, for overgiving women, exhaustion and resentment are signals, but they are trained, women are trained to ignore them. Self-priority means learning to listen before the signal becomes a collapse. Some of y'all got to have conversations with your friends, because you have friends that just overuse you because you volunteering for everything, because your trauma dictated to you this is how you create value and you make yourself valuable and you find worth. Some of you got to have conversations with your family, your parents, your in-laws, your children. Some of y'all got to have conversations with your spouses, your man friend, your boyfriend, whatever you may call him, your girlfriend, you know, because it goes both ways really, but I'm talking to women right now. You need to pay attention to what's going on before there's a total collapse of your soul and you have to rebuild from the ground up. Better to renovate your soul now. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's the renovation of your mind. Than to have a complete collapse and have to rebuild from the ground up. See, right now in the renovation process, you pull stuff out that shouldn't be and you replace it with stuff that should be. Much easier process than having to go from the foundation again. Don't experience a total collapse because you just kind of sweep this under the rug as we're having this conversation. Now let's see, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 19 and 20 says, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. Glorify God first. And when you glorify God, you'll edify others, but you can't edify others until you have glorified God and God fills you up. What did Jesus say? The way you're supposed to love is, well, right here in Matthew 22:39. And the second commandment is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. First commandment is love God with all your heart. Then love your neighbor as yourself. Meaning what? You got to love God. Let God teach you how to love you. And then out of the love you have for you, love your neighbor. But if you go from loving God and not learning to love you and trying to love others, you will overextend and exhaust yourself every time. Every time. Now, look what Galatians chapter 6:9 says. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up or faint. The thing I want you to see there is that you can do good and still grow weary. Just because you're doing something good does not mean that it won't wear you out. I'm helping everybody. I'm at the church. I'm on the job. I'm volunteering at the school. I'm doing everything. I'm doing good. And on the inside, you're empty. And you're surrounded by people that let you. All right, now let's look at this. The mental hurdles of overperforming. Not prioritizing yourself, but overperforming for others. This empathy burnout. Now, what I'm going to give you now, these are the internal walls that women hit when trying to stop. When you wake up and you realize the conversation that we're having, and you're trying to stop overperforming, and you're trying to prioritize yourself and bring some balance and harmony to your life. These are some of the hurdles, some of the walls you will hit. Letter A. And here I wrote it like this. When I finally get time alone, listen to this. I'm getting inside the minds of women. I've heard these conversations thousands of times. When I finally get time alone, I don't feel peaceful. I feel guilty, restless, or numb. My body confuses stillness with selfishness. How many of you that are watching me right now, you can't be still? You feel like if you take a nap in the middle of the day, now you work, you take care of your kids, you take care of your business, you do all of these other things, but you feel like if you take a nap in the middle of the day, somehow you're lazy, shiftless, is that the word? Shiftless woman. That's the kind of language toxic culture uses to describe a woman that will take time to be still. And this happens because your nervous system has been conditioned for high alert. You're never feeling safe. That's why you can't rest. You're in fight or flight mode constantly. Peace feels like a trap. Like you should be doing something for someone. Like I'm losing value if I'm not performing for someone. The guilt is not a sign that you are lazy. It is a sign that rest has been framed as a sin in your mind. Healing this means teaching your body slowly that stillness is not abandonment. So you're going to have to be patient with yourself and take it one step at a time and teach your body, where all of this trauma is trapped, teach your body that stillness is not abandonment. What does the Bible say in Psalm 46:10? Be still and know that I am God. There will not be a knowing until there's first a stilling. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. Here's letter B under the mental hurdles of overperforming. How does a woman get beyond this? Letter B says, if I'm not being needed by someone, I'm not sure who I am. I've heard these conversations thousands of times. I've built my identity around service, and pulling back feels like disappearing. Now this is an identity crisis, not a character flaw, an identity crisis. When your roles, like caretaker, fixer, helper, mother, wife, when these things become your entire self, watch this, their absence creates a vacuum. So who are you without, if you weren't a mother, who are you? If you weren't a wife, who are you? If you weren't a caretaker or fixer or helper, who are you? The fear of disappearing is real, but what you fear losing is not yourself, only the version of you that was never allowed to want anything for her own sake. Let me read that one more time. The fear of disappearing is real, but what you fear losing is not yourself. It is not yourself. It's only the version of you that was never allowed to want anything for her own sake. Brene Brown writes, you can't empty a cup that has no hole in the bottom. But if you keep pouring into everyone else, eventually you will find yourself completely empty. The identity crisis is the signal that your cup, listen to this, has been upside down for too long. You've been pouring and pouring and pouring, but your cup has been upside down. Nothing has been contained. Exodus 3:14, God said to Moses, I am who I am. I am that I am. You are who you are without performance, without titles. You got to open your heart and receive your identity from the Father. Psalm 139:14 says, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Let us see. What does it look like? How does a woman push through and overcome this overperforming mindset? What are some of the hurdles that she's going to deal with? Let us see. Getting into the minds of a woman, or the mind of a woman. I'm terrified that setting boundaries will turn me into the cold, selfish woman I was warned about as a girl. The one who abandons people and does not care. Many women were raised with a caricature. The selfish woman is cruel, unloving, and alone. Die alone. Any boundary then feels like the first step toward becoming that caricature. That woman that's mean, cruel, gonna die alone. But boundaries, listen to this statement very, very carefully. But boundaries are not abandonment. They are the structure, listen to this, they are the structure that allows love to be sustainable. You cannot sustain love without boundaries. The cold woman you fear is not the one who says, I need a night alone. I need some time to myself. She is the one who burned out and stopped feeling anything at all. Proverbs 25:28 says, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Ezekiel 3:17 says, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Hear the word I speak and give them warning for me. Now, here's letter D. What does it look like for a woman to push through this overperforming, this empathy burnout, to becoming a woman that self-prioritizes and brings balance and a healthy climate around herself? Letter D, back into the mind of a woman that might go through this process. When I stop overgiving, certain people get quiet, frustrated, or disappointed. That silence feels like proof that my worth was always transactional. Now, this is one of the most painful hurdles because it activates a deep fear. Was I only valued for what I did? The disappointing truth is that some relationships are built on your overgiving. When you stop, those relationships crack, and they should, because it is not reciprocal. Relationships should not be transactional, they should be reciprocal. That is not your failure that those relationships cracked that were built on your overgiving. That is information. Your worth was never meant to be a vending machine. Alice Walker said the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. When you feel crushed by someone's disappointment in your boundary, you are giving away the power to define your own value. Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30 says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, and I am gentle and lowly and in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." He says what? Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. You're going to find rest. Romans 12:3 says, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment." You got to start thinking soberly, outside of the realm of your conditioning, outside of these lies and the expectations of others. Letter E, I use empathy to keep people happy so they won't be angry or leave me. Putting myself first means tolerating someone being upset with me, and that feels dangerous. Now, this hurdle connects to early survival instincts. For many girls especially, keeping others happy was a safety strategy. It prevented conflict, lessened the likeliness of danger, withdrawal, or punishment. Now, as adults, that same vigilance remains. But here is the truth. You were never told, listen to this, someone can be upset with you and you can still be safe. Learning to tolerate another person's discomfort without rushing to fix it is the single most liberating skill you can develop. If a relationship cannot withstand your having a position that disappoints another person, it's probably not a relationship that will be able to endure anyway. If your friends leave you because you have a position that disagrees with theirs and y'all can't get beyond that, you probably shouldn't move beyond that. You got to learn to tolerate another person's discomfort without feeling an immediate urge to fix it. Proverbs 29:25 says, "The fear of man lays a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is safe." There's not but one you can't do without, and that's the Almighty. That's Jesus Christ, to be specific as a Christian. Galatians chapter 1 verse 10 says, "For am I now seeking the approval of man? or of God? We read that earlier. Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. Now, let me give you this and then I'm done. Here are the intentional adjustments that heal the heart of a woman who's been stuck in overperformance, empathy burnout. Now, watch this. You must, first of all, reframe self-care as staying soft for yourself. Reframe self-care as staying soft for yourself first. You cannot cry for a friend if you have numbed your own heart. Can't allow your heart to get hard. Self-care is not a chore. It's the only way to keep your tenderness real as a woman. You got to take care of you. Because if you don't, the world will turn you into one huge callous. Look what the Bible says in Matthew chapter 9 and verse 17. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. If it is, the skins burst and the wine is spilled, but new wine is put into fresh wineskins. And so both are preserved. You see, old wineskins are hardened, and the acid from the wine would burst them. New wineskins are pliable and soft. And so when the new wine gets into the new skin, it's pliable. It moves with the acids of the wine. You got to keep your heart softened to be able to accommodate all that God is pouring into your life. Self-care is remaining soft for yourself and your future. The next thing is practice the 10-second delay. When someone asks for help, rather than jump into just dun, 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 wait 10 full seconds before answering. And in that pause, ask yourself, do I want to do this? Or do I just feel I should do this? And that tiny gap breaks the autopilot of obligation. And then when you come back and you say, yeah, you know that you have the capacity, the wherewithal to do what is asked of you, feel good about it, and not do harm to yourself. You also know that if you come back with, no, I don't think I can do that, that you are now growing in your self-prioritization. Even if it's a good thing to do, even if the person that's asking you to do it is a person that you love or like, there will be times that you will say, I don't think that's for me right now. Proverbs 14 and 15 says, the simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his or her steps. And then watch this. Name the feeling. You feel that obligation to do something, to overperform. Name the feeling as inherited duty, not kindness. So you say aloud, that's my programming, not my generosity. You got to talk to yourself. That's my programming talking. That's not my generosity. I no longer operate based on my programming. My mind is being renewed. My mind is being renovated. Separating the two weakens the grip of guilt. You can still choose to help, but you will do so consciously, not compulsively. Willingly, not out of obligation. Romans 12 and 2 says, do not be conformed to this world. We've been referring to it all night. But be what? Transformed by the renewing of your mind, the renovation of your mind. And then watch this. They're gonna really love this one. Set a weekly selfish appointment. Block 1 hour, same time every week for something that is only for you. In fact, you should probably have a couple of these hours a week. When guilt rises, tell yourself, I will feel worse later if I cancel my appointment. That is not strength, that is collapse. Even God instituted a Sabbath where we would pull aside and rest. And then watch this. Finally, well, not finally. I didn't number or letter these, so I don't know where we at in terms of the numbers or the letters in succession. But befriend one woman who already balances both. Watch her say no without apology, yet remain loving and present. Your brain needs a model. She is proof that boundaries and warmth can coexist. And then finally for real this time, grieve the version of you who thought endless giving was a virtue. The women who heal from this toxic empathy do not become less loving. They become selectively loving. They learn to say yes only to what does not hollow them out. They learn to deposit into things and people that pour back into them. And the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:4, there's a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. So my prayer for you today is that the Spirit of God has spoken to your heart and that you've recognized where maybe you've missed it. And go back to the drawing board and learn to love on yourself. To the same degree that you've overloved everyone else. May I pray for you? Father, I thank you for your daughters and your sons tonight. And my prayer, dear Father, is that you will cement this word to their hearts and bring healing to all who are broken because of some of the things we've discussed tonight. Give them supernatural clarity. Give them resolve and strength to move forward with their lives. And God, I thank you for cleaning up their circles, taking out all of the takers. Dismiss, God, takers from their lives and bring them into relationships that will be reciprocal. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, behind a message like this, there are a lot of thoughts and things you probably need to process. We have an amazing relationship with BetterHelp Counseling, and if you're here today and you're saying, I need counseling, I need somebody to talk to, I want you to follow the link in the description, and probably the moderators are putting the link in the chat. If you go to BetterHelp Counseling and if you use that link and you get a chance to ask questions and see if it works for you, I think that you'll find great success sitting right there in the comfort of your own home or your office, talking to a licensed counselor or therapist. If you use that link, it will afford you 10% off of the cost of their counseling, and they in turn will make a deposit into RC Blakes Ministries because I recommended them. Now listen, thanks to all of you who've joined us tonight, those of you that might have sown into our lives, the greatest moderators in the world. We certainly thank God for you. And listen, if you've not joined the Royal Court, you should do that tonight. I think this Sunday, I may be mistaken. I get my Sundays mixed up, but I think this may be our Sunday for our Zoom call. We have amazing Zoom calls with our membership, with our Royal Court members, and we'd love to have you in our next one. Join the Royal Court tonight. Don't forget to pick up all of my books. You can go to Amazon or RCBLAKESStore.com. You can get the books. You can get all of the On Top Going Higher gear. All of that is right there at RC Blake Store or Amazon for all of the books, audio, the physical books, the digital books, all of that's on Amazon, but you can get all of the physical books at RC Blake Store. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with you today, and I want you to know that you are very, very special to Lisa and I. And I'm looking down because I'm trying to work this thing while I talk to you. And we love you with all of our heart. Looking forward to spending the time with you that are going with us to Italy in June next month. It's going to be fantastic. But I want you to remember this as I leave you tonight. You're on top and you're going higher. Don't forget to like this and share this before you leave out. Know that you're on top, you're going higher. God has more in store for you. We're going to see you at the top. I love you with all of my heart. Have an amazing night.
My queen, my queen. Oh, she. Oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel. So strong, even in struggle. Yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Malcolm and Obama, yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. Better treat her like a queen. Oh, oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall, a champion.